What's up, gang? It's Deltia from Deltia's Gaming here, checking out some of the new armor sets that Imperial City is bringing on the public test server. While these are not all final, I want to go over every single one of the new sets, explain what I like, what I don't like, and give you some ideas and combinations, and let you know, are some of these sets even worthwhile getting? Stay tuned to find out. Here we go. Armor and Imperial City. A whole lot of new sets. The first light setup we have is Moratorious Service. I probably screwed that name up, but you get it anyways. The first three pieces are okay. Health, max magic, spell damage, which is a nice 4-piece. But look at the 5-piece. When you cast a support ability, up to 4 nearby allies gain 3,000 physical and spell resistance in 15 seconds. Now, are you going to use this on every single character in every situation? No. But imagine in a Trials or a PvP group that someone is specifically designed to run Cleanse. Look at Cleanse. It's the ability to cleanse further negative damage effects like dots, fire damage, and it heals you for 18% of your max health. So when you hit this thing, look at that. It has a cool animation, but the added advantage of healing the people that get removed dots and 3,000 spell damage and armor makes this a pretty cool support set, specifically designed, in my opinion, for a 12-man PvP group. So think about using that if you're the designated purger. The next setup we have is the Phoenix, probably the coolest looking of all the 5 pieces, though I don't know how effective it is. Essentially, you become reborn, if you will. When the effect ends, you heal yourself for 17,000 health, you do flame damage, and it has a 10-minute cooldown, so you basically get an extra life and kind of heal to full. It looks amazing. I want to show you guys what it looks like, but I don't know if it's that useful. One idea to use this would be basically if you had 1,000,000 Telvar stones on you and you didn't want to die, I would equip this set while you're running back to bank those. So let's check this out. So to get the full effect, watch this. Wow, how cool is that, gang? Now imagine using that set, especially if you had a lot of stones on you. I think it's pretty cool, but not worth using a 5-piece unless you're doing something very, very specific. Now we move on to a super useful set that I think a lot of healers are going to want to run, which is called Combat Physician. It gives a lot of critical, which leads to critical healing an ally grants them an 8,000 point damage shield for 8 seconds with a 6-second cooldown. The cool thing about this is it does apply for the champion point Bastion, giving you even a stronger bubble. 100 points in Bastion, I think this is about 12,000 bubble, and it's ally, so that includes yourself. So it might make for a good healing over time build like this. And when it does proc, of course, just proc 2 seconds ago, it has a nice little blue orb, and you'll have a nice, good old blue ball. Don't troll me in the comments. So let's see if we can't take some damage and get the sucker to proc. Right there. See that bubble? Not too impressive, but if you max out your Bastion, put some points into this, and expect specifically for this, this could be a powerful set. Especially the more group members you have, the better. I'm not too big of a fan of the 6-second cooldown, but it's worthwhile set to get. Next setup is the Overwhelming Surge set, which is kind of interesting, basically formulated for shock damage. So using a class ability surrounds yourself 8% chance to do shock damage every 6 seconds. Ideally, I think this would go really well with a sorcerer using bound armor of one of the type of morphs, and it has really, really good 3 and 4 piece. If you notice, it's probably going to be the new Martial Knowledge set. Well, I think this comes out of White Gold Tower or Imperial Prison, so there's a reason to do PvE, even if you're a PvPer. So let's see if we can get this thing to proc. Oh, there it is. That looks really cool. So how useful is it? I don't know if you're going to really spec into the 5-piece, but the 3 and the 4 are definitely worth acquiring this set. Next setup, we have the Scathing Mage, which I think will be the go-to set for spell casters in Update 7. Specifically, I think this thing would be amazing on a Dragon Knight, using a lot of different dots, High critical, yes, bringing crit back, and seeing if you can't proc that 516 spell damage for 6 seconds. Notice there's no cooldown here. So let's see if we can't get this sucker to proc. So on a good old Magic Templar, it might be worthwhile running Vampire's Bane now, Entropy, and maybe good old Sweeps. Come here, you baddies. There's the proc. So it's kind of like the Ravager of spell damage. I think the set's going to be amazing, as you can see that blue blow on your hands. It's the Ravager of spell critical with spell power. You got to get this sucker. Last setup, for the light armor we have spell powered cure set. So the 2, 3, 4 pieces are okay, but the 5 piece is fantastic. Healing an ally at 100% grants them 258 increased spell damage. Wow. No cooldown. This is a massive benefit to running trials, PvP groups, and using heal over time, especially on fully health allies. Now, what I've been thinking about a unique build is running a magic-based Nightblade with this setup using funnel health sap essence, seeing how well that affects the build. So let's go back to our restoration staff, use rapid regeneration, and it looks like we got a proc already. There it is. That is pretty cool. Spell power cure right there. So there's no cooldown on it, and you can see it's constantly basically up if you're running heals over time. So I could see rapid regeneration being the new thing to constantly run here in the future. So many cool sets. And light armor, I think that's a really interesting thing. Top sets would be this one, and then Scathing Mage for DPS. And that's the reason you gotta do PvE and Update 7. First medium armor set you can acquire by Talvar Stones, and I think it's pretty interesting, and I don't think a lot of people are going to implement this in their builds, but it's called the Powerful Assault. When you cast an assault ability, up to 4 nearby allies gain weapon and spell damage for 15 seconds. So I think this is a good utility piece of equipment for running PvP groups. Why? If I'm on my Stam Nightblade like I am here, and I'm constantly using Resolving Vigor, and maybe someone else in the group is using the other morph, you can basically stack those things on top of each other, giving each other awesome incentives to constantly run assault abilities. You can even go with, as a leader, running retreating maneuvers, maybe Razor Caltrops, Warhorn, Magic Debt. All these things add up, making this a pretty good medium set that I don't think a lot of people are looking at. And if you're just using it for yourself, you're still going to get a decent amount of weapon damage. So Power of Assault, I definitely am going to pick it up with my Talvar Stones. Next setup, we have a really kind of interesting build, which is called a Shield Breaker. So this is light and heavy attacks deal 2,000 irresistible damage against an enemy player with shields. So this is obviously geared towards people that want to go chase down sorcerers and nuke them down. I do like the 3 and 4 piece, stamina recovering weapon damage. So while I don't think the 5 piece is necessarily something to run unless you want a specific role, this gives a good option to use this instead of Skirmisher for a good 3 and 4 piece with some good sustain and weapon damage. So I don't think I'm going to pick the 5 piece up, but I'm definitely going to get the 4 piece for some flexibility in some of my PvP builds. The next setup we have is probably my favorite overall. That's the Essence Thief. What it does is you have a light attack chance to collect an essence. Basically, something shoots out from you and it's blue, and if you step on it, it gives you health, stamina, and increased damage for 10 seconds. It goes really well with the Molag Kina set, making this probably what I'm going to run on PvP, especially for my Stam Nightblade. The problem with it is it's only light attacks. I'm going to give some feedback to Zoss. I think that should include heavy attacks as well, if you like to weave. But this thing is amazing. So let's go see it proc in action. That's it right there. See this thing? Watch. Boom. No, you're not going to take aim on me and kill me. So it lights up, and 10% extra damage for 10 seconds is definitely worth doing. So it makes medium weaving kind of obsolete, but light attack weaving, a must. Now, imagine this with Engine Guardian or the Molag Kina set. It's going to be awesome to run, PvE or PvP. Next setup we have is the Sheer Venom, which a lot of people love. This thing is going to be worthwhile getting because the 3 and the 4 piece essentially replace Morag's Tong if you're going for high weapon power builds. 5 piece causing damage with an execute infects an enemy, dealing poison damage every second for 6 seconds. It does have a cooldown, which is not something I like. I think the execute damage should be a little bit more. It's a neat effect, but with a little more extra damage, it might be worth picking up the 5 piece. I know for a fact the 4 piece is going to be a hot item. So let's go see if we can proc this thing. So I'm on my Stam Blade here. And right there, that poison cloud. That is pretty cool. But the damage isn't that significant, to be honest with you. So let's see if it procs off lethal injection. Looks like it does. Ooh, that might be really cool for a bow poison build. And tick. That is kind of cool. Sheer Venom, definitely something that I'm going to be going after. One of my least favorite sets in the new update is the Shockmaster. So it gives a lot of weapon critical and a little bit of weapon damage, and it's kind of a weird thing to proc. You have to do a light attack and then a fully charged heavy attack. I don't think that's really interesting doing that. Very effective and a very fun gameplay mechanic, but we'll show you. 1200 shock damage over 10 seconds. It might be worth using for a stamina sort, but I don't know. It just seems odd. So let's try to proc this sucker. So light attack, then immediate fully charged heavy attack. Light, fully charged heavy. Go! Now I have shock damage. This is great. And I don't even know if it's working yet. Ah, there it is. It's just honestly not very impressive. So let me kill this Tater Tot and see if we can't get it procced again, just to make 100% sure. Alright, so light attack, fully charged heavy, and go. He blocked it, that's cute. Light, fully charged heavy. Oh my god. So I can't even get this thing to work very well, as you can see. Probably my least favorite of the sets. Next setup is Toxic Defiance, which is kind of a neat shit if you ask me. Causing damage with a magic ability. Causes poison damage to deal an additional 430 poison damage over 10 seconds. First of all, I don't like the 2-piece, don't like the 4-piece, and the 5-piece is just so insignificant. I don't think this set is very, very good. Especially since running a stand build, you're not going to be using a whole lot of magic abilities. But let's give it a try. For this, I probably will run Cripple on my Stam-based Nightblade. So the Cripple is a good damage dealing over time with an effect to limit their speed. So let's see this. So there's the poison damage. With only 400 a second, this doesn't seem that effective. Especially considering Sheer Venom would be just a lot better. So I don't think this set is very valuable. Sorry, Zos. Finally moved on to heavy armor and some of my favorite sets. Black Rose. This is kind of a controversial set, but I think will be awesome for a PvP-based Dragon Knight, bringing the old Block Knight back. So you don't regenerate stamina when blocking, but this thing might be awesome. Combined with the good old Light Blood Spawn to give you some magic regen, chance to proc some resist, and ultimate, constantly using ultimates to get back resources along with being a Block Knight. This thing might be absolutely incredible, and I've had a lot of fun testing it so far. It does give you a visual proc, so let me show you. Come here, Tater Dots. Right there. So that's how I get my stamina back here doing a block knight. No. Oh, get out of there. So as you can see, I'm basically infinitely blocking here and getting all that stamina back just using this Black Rose set. So, I do plan on bringing the Laceration PvP build back into the fold using this set. As you can see, look at that Stam Bam. It's amazing. And Bats is up, and oh yeah, we're going to go back to Vamp on this sucker. And I'm using Molten Whip now too. Alright, I'm not going to bore you killing Big Nasty here, but that set, very, very powerful. Definitely worth picking up with your Telvar Stones. Next setup is kind of an interesting one called Reactive Armor Set. While you're stunned, immobilized, feared, knocked down, or disorient, you take a lot less damage. 35%. I don't know if it's currently bugged still or not, but this applied to after you were stunned and you broke CC. So hopefully they get this fixed before release. I do also like the 3-piece for tanks, basically a stamina tank, making it somewhat interesting, but I don't know if it's worth taking over some of the new powerful sets. So let's go see if we can get stunned. Hold the line! Whoa. Okay, I did not plan for that to happen. Finally, there's the proc. So, like you see, it took me a long time to finally get stunned, disoriented by NPCs. Might be something if you're a frontline fighter that you use, but I truly don't think it's that worth it. Next setup, we have the Imperium set. Brands of the Imperium. A truly remarkable 5-piece. 6% chance when taking damage to yourself, granting you and nearby allies a 12,000 point damage shield. It does have a 15-second cooldown. The interesting thing is I want to see if it works with the Bastion. So if we strip our points out of here and block expertise, go to the Bastion, pump the sucker up, it now becomes almost a 15,000 point damage shield the last 8 seconds. So let's see if we can't get this procced. So there is the proc, it looks like. 15-second cooldown, so it's pretty hefty. Let's see if we can't get it to proc again. Bang, there it is. That is a nice damage shield. It's going to be interesting to see if people run this constantly as a good ward. Uh-oh, I could use a CC break set right now, huh? Next setup, we have the Jolting Arm set, which is a little bit interesting. 10% chance when blocking an attack to charge your arms, causing the next bash to deal 5,000 shock damage, as well as granting you 6,400 spell resistance for 6 seconds. I don't know exactly how people would use this or if it's that useful, because it's based on using a bash attack. Might bring bash attacks back with no cooldown, but let's check it out. Another kind of cool set here is the Leeching Plate set. Basically, it's all about self-healing. 8% chance when taking damage to summon a poison cloud, leeching basically damage, poison damage, every 5 seconds that heals you for the amount of damage caused. The problem I have with this set is that putting points into Thaumaturge or poison damage does not increase the damage on this gear. If it did, I think this would be a game changer running this on my Omega Templar self-healing monster. But since it doesn't, I don't know how valuable it is. But it's still something cool to use. So let's go check this out. And there's the poison cloud. So you can see there it's providing pretty good amount of self-healing, though I don't know how valuable it is considering that some of that stuff can't crit. And it doesn't scale with the Thaumaturge passive. So I'm kind of disappointed in that set. The next set we have up is the Tormentor set. I think pretty weird, awkward set. Causing damage with a charge also applies taunt for 15 seconds and increases your physical and spell resistance for 3600. Essentially making it possible to be a tank without sword and board, though I don't know why you'd want to considering the block damage and the mitigation is super powerful. So I guess if you wanted to use this in kind of a PvP instance here like this, you could use Invasion to prompt the taunt like that. So I just don't see this being super effective. Oh, what's this guy? Probably don't want to take him on. So there it is. I can't see using this over the Black Rose Hisbark or anything else like that. But it's there if you want to be a tank without sword and board. Onto the first crafted set, and that is the Armor Mastery set. I think this has a very specific thing that you could use this for. While having an armor ability slotted, increase your maximum health by 5%. When you activate an armor ability, you gain extra physical and spell resistance for 10 seconds. But I think I have an idea for an awesome Nightblade tank using this set. It's craftable. So what I want to run with my Nightblade tank is the Heavy Armor Removable. The reason being you get CC immunity, but you also get that major physical resistance. 5% extra health. You might be able to run a Nightblade tank in medium armor using this set. So putting this on increases my max health and gives me a whole lot of resistance. 33,000 is the hard cap, and I'm at 32. Not a bad set, and I think this is really usable in the next phase of the game. Next setup, something kind of interesting, but I don't think that effective, which is Noble's Conquest. Interrupting the enemy causes them to take 5% increased damage for 5 seconds and heals you for a lot. Nice thing about this is it's good for bashing, but I don't know how effective it is. An idea was be Vet Dragonstar Arena round 1 where you're constantly bashing the enemies not to spawn the green circles that heal them. But I don't know if the 5% damage is only for you or everyone in your team. That probably needs a little more testing. But let's see if we can't interrupt somebody here. Oh, there's a healer. Rotator dot. Go to cast yourself a heal. You know you want to. There see, she wants to heal. Here we go. There it is. So, I just don't know if that's that worth it. It's a decent heal, but I'm not giving up my Hisbark or my reactive armor or my Black Rose set for this. Just not going to. As you see, that's only a 2,000 heal right there with Noble Conquest. Cool idea, not that effective. Last crafted setup, we have the Redistribution. When you receive healing while at full, heal a nearby ally for 1800. This effect can only occur every 3 seconds, and I think that cooldown makes this set pretty much worthless. Because you only can do it every 3 seconds, and if you're wearing it, how often are you going to be at full? I don't know. If you combine it with the other set, maybe, but the 2, 3, and 4 pieces are for basically everyone else to wear, making this pretty much worthless in my opinion. So if you do it here, use Green Dragon's Blood. I don't even know if that can heal me, but boom, pop a potion. Just don't see it being that worthwhile, making it probably one of the weakest ones in the group. The first of the new 2 pieces is Lord Warden's Dusk. They got some changes to this sucker, making it really, really powerful now, since it does add physical and spell resistance. So if we clip this thing, it looks absolutely mean. Look at that thing. That looks crazy. It has one of the coolest looking animations. Is essentially you take damage, it summons a shadow orb, 7,000 physical and spell resistance to nearby allies for 20 seconds. You have to be in it, but 7,000, that's a monster amount, making it really worthwhile for a tank to run. It's procced off of taking damage, so I can do that well. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Take damage. Don't die. I'm doing a video. I'd look stupid. There it is. Look at this thing. Wow. Now that's amazing effect. And it's worthwhile running. So good job, DOS, on this set. Now, let's murk some people, shall we? Mwah! So far in testing, my absolute favorite combination is running the Essence Thief with the Mola Kina set, the new set. This thing is awesome. They added spell damage along with weapon damage, so it's perfect for anyone, magic or stamina users. 2 light attacks down from 3 triggers overkill, which increases the cost of all abilities, but gives you a flood of spell and weapon damage for 6 seconds. Notice this doesn't have a cooldown, so you could probably constantly run it over and over and over. Now, medium weaving or light weaving with this thing is going to be awesome too. So if you proc both, you're looking at 10% extra damage on top of 600, almost 700 spell and weapon damage, making this a lethal combination. So the trick here is you need to do 2 light attacks. Bow is ideal for light attacking. So let me show you here. Boom, proc. Now look how much harder I'm hitting. Cost a little bit much more, but wow. So do light attacks in between to proc that Essence Thief. And boom. So 20k Soul Harvest almost with that extra burst. I imagine really good PvPers are going to have a blast with this, proccing it ideally. So like right here. And bang! Look at that, 13 non-crit and our thing proc too. That's what I'm talking about. This combination might be the new meta in stamina PvP. Well, those are all of the armor sets in Imperial City that I've tested out, and like, dislike, there's a lot of cool combinations. If you refer to old Magic the Gathering, I think when a new set comes out, you have to remember all the old sets that went before, and adding that new combinations might bring something that I haven't seen together that's super, super powerful. So what I'm saying is, don't take all this information to heart. It can change. It's not even released yet, and there's probably something that I'm missing, making some of these gear sets ultra powerful. So with more testing, once it's released, I'm going to be in Imperial City like cray, having more and more cool builds, and getting these gear sets priority number 1. Thanks so much for watching.